Hello everyone, this is my teaching memo for session 2. Well, football season is officially over and Tom Brady has solidified his position as the greatest quarterback of all time. What a game. Dr. Laura and I attended a Super Bowl party, as I stated in a Facebook post, and I just happen to have it here. There are the two of us, as I said, heading out to invade a nest of haters. We both have our Patriot sweatshirts on, and for my profile picture, I changed it to this. These are my two kids. It's my son Dan, my daughter Kate. My daughter Kate's the one who bought me this Tom Terrific T-shirt. This was a couple years ago. Actually, it might have been last year during the Denver Patriots playoff game, league championship game, which we lost. But this time we didn't. Pretty excited. We got home about 11:30. We watched Bill Belichick actually smiling on TV when we got home. But we were both exhausted. I had trouble going to sleep. I was so keyed up. I mean, that game really had me on edge. So I was a little exhausted. All right, enough of that. Enough of Tom Brady. The first discussion board is closed and you can no longer post. The biggest issue I saw was what I see every semester, lack of proper APA in your initial posts. Some people didn't even use APA in their initial post. Some people left out a reference list. And that's all you need. That's the only APA formatting I want you to do is the citations and the reference list. You don't have to do a cover page. You don't have to do a running head, double space, all that other stuff. All I want is for you to cite correctly and to reference correctly. And almost every reference I have in the course materials. So there's no excuse for having improper format for your reference list. So shame on you if you do. According to the discussion board rubric, to get an A reference, you have to reference the readings in at least 4 out of your 5 response posts. If you're only doing 6 posts, which many people do, they just do the minimum to get an A, and that's fine. That's why I have that advanced rubric, so those of you that want to can get an A+. And I'm going to talk about one of those people who has done it for this session, the last 2 sessions. Many of you are making personal connections to yourself, which is good, but you also need to demonstrate understanding of the readings. That's the purpose of the discussion board, is to expand and enhance your understanding of the text. Also, if you make a statement such as most students dislike math, you need to support it. I mean, you just can't make statements like that, and that's what I'm trying to do in this discussion board, is get you to support your opinions. I want you to have opinions. If you say most students dislike math, that's fine as long as you support it with some evidence. But you just can't make it up. You can't use alternative facts in Dr. Tom's class. All right, like the Bowling Green Massacre. Also, several of you participated in the discussion board but never uploaded your initial post in the session 1 assignments as a Word document. You have to do that or I'm not going to grade your discussion board, because your initial post has to be checked by SafeAssign to make sure you're not plagiarizing, make sure you didn't copy somebody's from the last couple semesters. If you see that your discussion board hasn't been graded, that's probably why. So write me. You can write me an email. Keep that in mind. Again, many of you are sharing relevant websites, so that excites me because that gets into the inquiry-based concept of the discussion board, is that you ask questions and then you go find the answers. And you share them with your classmates and your group mates. This is the inquiry part of the course, and we're going to talk about inquiry towards the end of the semester. when we do that. We're going to do one unit about science, and it's going to be about inquiry. Many of you, and this is a problem I have every semester, many of you logged on the last 3 days, you made some quick comments, didn't reference the text, went off on a tangent about something that really wasn't about your beliefs about teaching math and science and math anxiety, and you won't get credit for those. You're going to get, and some of you I went in and said, hey, you got to reference the text, you got to stick to the topic. So that's something that everybody does it. Not everybody. Every semester it's done by a group that waits till the last Friday, Saturday, Sunday of the 2-week session. And the problem with that is, and I've got this already, is that somebody said an emergency comes up. I didn't start. The discussion board is 2 weeks old. I didn't start. I waited till the last minute, but then something came up, and I'm sorry that things come up, but I open it for 2 weeks. And that's why I do that. So if something, you only have to respond on 3 days to get an A. So out of 14 days, you only have to respond 3. So if something comes up where you got to go out of town for a couple of days, that's no excuse for not completing the discussion board. So that's just something I want to get out there. I went through your baseline surveys and initial discussion board postings. I made comments on most. On your initial discussion board posts, I just made comments about your APA format. That's all I did. The important part of the baseline survey is that you're going to be asked to submit it again at the end of the course. So as we go through the course, you should be filling that out and referencing the readings that we have. Because at the end, this time I wasn't really concerned about you referencing the readings. If you notice, everyone is starting out with an A+, and so keep that in mind. You're starting with an A+, because everyone got 100 on that first baseline survey. It's only worth 1%. The second one will be worth 4%. So that's why the second one is weighted more, because you will be using information and references from our readings to support the answer to those questions. Also, there's vocabulary in your own words. I believe I mentioned that last semester, and I think I've added it in every assignment or every course materials. Let me go into course materials for this is session 4. Let me go into course materials for session 3 to see if I've added it there. If not, yes, there it is, vocabulary in your own words. So I've added it, I think, in the first 4 sessions. So you download that, and then you start filling it out, the definitions in your own words as we encounter them. So that's another heads up to get you focusing on things that are going to be due at the end of the semester, so you're not overwhelmed. All right, session 2. This is the first time. This is actually the second time that I've used this writing prompt, and I like it. I like the responses that I get from people. People are reflecting on their own beliefs, and that's why I do it, because I want you to bring awareness to your own beliefs, because many people are unconscious about them, and they transfer those beliefs without even knowing it. So that's why I did it. Many of you mentioned Carol Dweck and her work on growth mindsets. I was excited to see Victoria share an Edutopia article, which I have placed, which she found in additional resources lesson planning. So I'm going to go there right now just to show you. There's the additional resources over here on the left, and if you click on it, there are lesson plan resources right at the top. There's some Common Core materials here from my friend Heidi, who's a BOCES math consultant. There's EdTPA material here, differentiating instruction material, activators and summarizers, which are similar to formative assessments, but not quite. And this is a WebQuest search page. We'll talk about that later in the semester. But in the lesson plan resources, if you scroll down, there's the rubric. Here are some lesson plan ideas, Engage New York lesson plan ideas, exemplar EdTPA lesson plans. These aren't from my course, but they're from, there's allegedly these 2 lesson plans got a 5 on the EdTPA. And teaching videos. If you go in I'm trying to find that article that Engage New York, right here, helping struggling students build a growth mindset. This is the article that Victoria referenced, and she told me she got it from here. So I was really excited that somebody went in here on their own. But there's also if you go on to Edutopia and Google, or actually I have a link to it in this teaching memo, but there are resources for teaching growth mindset on and this is incredible. Understanding growth mindset, strategies for addressing mindsets, growth mindset within math, ding, 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 ding. That's what we should be looking at. Giving better student feedback. We're going to be talking about feedback in this course a little later. So this is a great resource that you should bookmark on your browser and take your time, but go through it and check it out because it's real good stuff. A practice of honoring mistakes came up in one group, and Stephanie mentioned how we should embrace the mistakes our students make, and that is so true because the old paradigm used to be get it right away. If you don't get it right away, too bad, we're going to move on, and those guys who got it first are going to get an A. You guys are going to fail and fall hopelessly behind. And that's the way math has worked for years, and that's why so many people and it's been taught in absence of any context, and absence of any real life experiences. What are we going to use this for? An absence of any fun, and I'm going to talk about fun in a minute because Victoria did a nice job with referencing another article, which I'm going to talk about. And I shared this Edutopia article, which talked about the science of making mistakes and how that should be part of your classroom culture, and that teaching students to embrace mistakes so they're not afraid to speak out, they're not afraid to get belittled, and you can ask questions. Okay, this is what Jerry said. Does everybody agree with that? Can anybody help if that they don't? Okay, Julia, can you help Jerry with his thinking, or tell us what might be wrong with his thinking? So that's how we embrace mistakes. And then we go back to that student and say, okay, what do you think about what Julie just said there? Well, I agree with that. I did mess up there, blah, blah, blah. So there are a lot of ways of using mistakes as part of your teaching repertoire, and I hope you all look at that website. I want to give another shout out to Victoria. I don't normally like to do this because it draws attention to a student who is just working hard. However, I want to show and tell you what the goal of these discussions is. Victoria posted 13 times. However, a few of them didn't count, and that's fine. And when you post more than the minimum, then you can post some things that just say, hey, thank you, hey, I agree with that, nice post. Those I don't count those towards your total, but I think I got a collection of Victoria's posts here, and you can say I did find it in additional resources. She was responding to me, and of course that's not going to count, but she's got 13 posts. There's a PDF of the article in my post. That doesn't count because it really isn't a discussion about anything. But you can see that she has websites here. Impact of regulation instruction on mathematics achievements and attitude. That sounds like I didn't look at that, Victoria, but that sounds like a research article, which I'm not crazy about. But this is the video on conquering math anxiety that she added, and it looks like she embedded it, which is something that that I know how to do, but not many of my students know how to do that. So you can see that almost all of her posts have some kind of reference, and are talking about the topic, expanding the topic. So kudos to Victoria, and that's an exemplar for you. She has 13 posts, but 3 of them don't count. But so that still gave her 10, which is an A+. And she's referenced the text in many more than 5. 5 is what you have to do for an A+. 4 is what you have to do for an A. Reference the readings or my presentation or other relevant material in at least 4 of your posts. So shout out to Victoria for that. Thank you. That's a great exemplar of what a great discussion board session looks like. Some of you did not participate in this discussion and will receive a grade of 50, which is the lowest I give. Because the first discussion board is weighted the least, 5%, the others will be worth, there's 2 more. One is worth 8%, and the last one will be worth the most, 15%, respectively. So make sure you use my feedback to do better each time. These are all grading practices that don't distort achievement. You can mess up in the beginning, and not be badly penalized. I hope all of you gained a great deal of knowledge about the first days of school and the way to build personal relationships with your students. My wife and I feel very strongly about this, and we'll probably be writing an update to that article in the near future. Okay, let's talk about session 3. This will be the only session that we will really look at technology portions of this class, but one to which I am really looking forward to. We are having a discussion board where you will research a piece of technology or website that can help all of us in the classroom, including me. In your group, you will post a 3 to 5 minute video, and please keep it to 3 to 5 minutes, because if someone logs on, they click on your video, and you can tell if you've uploaded it to YouTube. And I would recommend uploading your videos to YouTube and not TeacherTube. TeacherTube, I really don't like. It's got too many commercials, advertisements. I mean, YouTube does too, but I don't have to go through them all to watch your video. If you post a video, I can watch it without any commercials. So keep that in mind. Make sure you study the rubric that I embedded in the discussion board instructions. So if you go onto the discussion board, and I'm going to do that, I'll go on all discussions. That's how I like to go into the discussion boards. And you'll see that the rubric is right here. So make sure you look at that. It's a four-part rubric, 4 characteristics. So make sure you look at that so you know what I expect. I believe I have exemplars in course materials. I'll look at that right now and make sure I do. If I don't, I will add those. Course materials. I do not see exemplars there. Let me go into the assignment page and see if I have exemplars there. I do not. I'm going to be adding exemplars, and I'll add them to this assignment page so everyone will get an idea of what a good exemplar looks like. I thought I had them on the discussion page, but obviously I don't. Nope, I do not. Okay, so stay tuned for those. I will find some from last semester and add those. I would you have to pick, when you go on, make sure you look at your group mates and other groups technology that they, or application or whatever, web page. I don't want any repeats. All right, I want everybody to do something different. So a bunch of you mentioned Class Dojo in your baseline surveys. Only one of you can do it, so whoever gets on first gets to do it. And if somebody else tries to get on there, then I will let them know. What I would do is I would go on and make your post and say Class Dojo. I'm going to do Class Dojo, and then go in and edit your post and add the video. In my presentations this week, I tell you how to shoot a video on in Coursework by Week, Session 3, and presentations. You'll see that shooting video with your iPhone, and it tells you don't shoot it like this, horizontal. Shoot your video vertically. Horizontally. Don't shoot it vertically. Shoot it horizontally, or else you'll get those big black strips, which most of you who've shot video know about, but probably never thought about. And this is how you embed a video in Blackboard after you upload it to YouTube. Oh, here's the exemplars. I'm sorry. The exemplars are here in presentations. Here's one on Plickers, one on Kahoot. So I do have exemplars, so that's where they are. All right. So you will have a week to work on this, but we have a vacation week coming up following this session. So session 4 will be a 2-week session. So I will not close this for a couple of weeks. So, but technically it's due after 1 week. I'm looking forward to reading your double entry journals. I may be asking permission to use some of them as exemplars in the future if I find ones that really jump out at me. So that's it for this week. I will be back with another teaching memo next week.